If you understand, he was saying we'll know more in a few days, but we aren't committing to anything.
Oh, no, I didn't say that. But I say, well, will you know more to make it be that you're confident that we have to, that this will fix the problem in a couple of days?
We'll have a clearer picture of that from
Will you let us know?
Yes,
certainly. Just like we did with the results of the testing. We'll be happy to provide that information to you.
Okay, and then one more question. Would you send this in for, see if it's satisfactory?
I will only do so. I will only do so if you ask us to take it at the moment it's taken out, because I cannot verify that this came out of the tap.
Are you doubting what I'm telling you?
I have no way of verifying this.
No, we're not. Okay, now let's be clear here. There are sampling rules and regulations for taking water out of tap, and we're going to follow those rules and regulations. We're not doubting your honesty or anything.
I'm telling you, this came out of my faucet.
I have no. But here's the thing. There is a sampling process. You use sterile glasses and whatever. So we're not going to get quibbling over.
Okay.
We will keep you informed, and we are not putting it on the back burner. It's
a
topic of conversation.
But after 4 years, I'm saying it's time to fix it right.
We agree with you.
I agree with you, 100%.
100%, but we haven't had a chance to work on it for 4 years.
Right.
You have new people you're working with here, and we this is the first that's been brought to a lot of our attention. And believe me, we're not just cutting you off.
But we've been very, very patient.
You have been.
4+ years. And
you have been.
I have not much left.
You have been very patient.
We're going to, Wayne, we're going to try and follow standard procedures and protocols and not jump into something just based on an emotion.
I can imagine what that could be, but go ahead.
You can imagine what.
How much bureaucracy we're talking about here.
Well, there are standardized procedures, I would imagine, for drawing samples. In fact,
well, okay, don't send them in there. Just keep them there.
Sure.
Yeah. So.
Yes.
May I just add a statement?
Yes.
I was probably the first one that this affected after the Jacobsons had their water problem, and they changed the routing of the water. And that has been over 4 years ago. And I appreciate everything the council has done. And even Wayne does not know what has happened to my water this past week. And one person does, and that's Mrs. Spurling, because it's also happened to hers. I don't know how you feel about having to go in with SaniFlush and a swab and clean your toilet bowls every day, because it is so black what comes down in streaks, besides the water that comes in our sinks in the bathroom. And I just wanted to bring that to your attention. And I haven't had a chance to speak to any of you about it, but I just wanted you to know.
You need to get a sampling of your water. This is
they have done that. They have been very good about sampling my water. And I appreciated the fact when they called and said it was okay. The color is still dastardly, especially in the bathroom sinks. And when Mr. Figgenshoe was here, he came up and I used a rather extreme word when I told him the color of the water, and he said, "You didn't say it bad enough." And it was the color of horse urine. Now that is the words we used. And it is worse now. Thank you.
Well, I can tell you that they had decided that they figured out where the problem was.
Right.
And they were going to go and get busy digging that up. Okay. And then this report came, and they said, you might be digging that up for nothing, because you may not find it.
Let's hope that's the case. But if not, winter's coming soon, and here we'll be another year, and you won't be able to flush like you're doing down the street. So we need to do something soon and fix it right. And it's only from point A to point B, which is about 2 blocks in the way I look at it.
Actually,
within a triangle.
Actually, the program that we're looking at from DNR would include every house that's in the system. It would be an entire system function.
No. Now, so what we're doing is adding Band-Aids to prevent that?
No. The process DNR is recommending to us is an entire system flush. So,
oh, I thought you were talking about replacing the hose.
No.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
It includes a chemical process, and it includes a flushing process. So it would include pretty much everyone who's currently on the grid.
Yeah. Okay.
I think to me, the bottom line is, once we find out what's causing it, we'll fix it. And we're gonna try different
Okay. Let's hope it's
ways to
before
find it.
winter, because
Yes,
again, here we
I wouldn't
are.
wanna drink that water.
Yeah,
I wouldn't either.
okay. Well, thank you again for your time.
I wouldn't want to
How many
wash my
times was
clothes
this-
in deeper.
How many times was the previous council advised to?
Well, we did a loop.
I
and
can tell you
we
that.
tried to correct that years ago. What that loop was put in there for, because if you read that report, I think that DNR report says that something like this can happen at the end of a dead line. That's what this one used to be. But then we put it into a loop and brought it around, that's where that extra money was spent.
That's when we started having the problem.
Yes,
That
because
made it
actually
worse.
made it worse. It actually started moving that stuff
It
around.
actually caused this problem when you did that.
Gary's been on the council long enough to know that
Yeah.
is when the problem began. And
About 40 years ago or longer.
it is a dreadful problem. And once winter comes, there's not a thing you or I can do about it. And you can't, where you can go down and buy some bottle of something, put in your stool, no. I mean, it takes our hands, right, and the swab, and it's an everyday occurrence. And when we run the water for our coffee in the morning, you don't just run a gallon or two. You run a lot before it clears up to use it. But it is true, it's gone on that line.
Now, one more question. Do I understand there's a reading and a couple more readings on the water rate increase? And when do you plan to have that in effect?
If it passed the next 2 readings in council process, it would be reflected upon your November billing.
Okay. Now, I'm assuming that you're going to have, or not have, I shouldn't say that. I'm assuming that you won't charge these people and me with this new rate increase with this kind of water.
That would be up to the council.
Okay. Up to the council.
Well, you said by winter, November is getting pretty cold. We better be making some decisions.
Well, let's hope we
as
have water
can.
like you have right there by next November. Yeah, not that much. All right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I do have one question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Does anybody here have any knowledge what this might be doing to our water heaters?
Our plumbing,
The plumbing and, because this could be another added expense to us if this was to ruin water heaters, this rusty water.
I have no knowledge.
Well, we were informed of that by our plumber last winter. We happened to have a sink in our garage, and naturally it's not used as often as the sinks other places. You can't believe the color of the water that comes out of that sink. There's like the tabletop.
Did he tell you that it was corroding your pipes or
He
would
told
damage
us
your...
We happen to have a large electric water heater, and he said, we better hope that this water gets fixed. He said it will cost you a new water heater.
Okay.
Well, thank you for the information.
Thank you very much for your time.
Is there any further discussion on G?
I think they have a legitimate.
They do.
I agree 100%.
I
It's
mean,
still not enough healthy.
It's not going to make them
but
sick.
Okay, I know what you're saying.
that's not the point. I mean,
No.
But should
if this is coming out of your faucet, are you going to be here every 6
I
weeks?
wouldn't.
I want to come over tomorrow and show you my basement. I got that coming out of my basement in my house. Of course, they don't drink it, they don't use it down there.
It comes out of the basement faucet.
I understand.
But not upstairs.
I'm really fortunate because
Yours
we
comes
have
out
wonderful
upstairs.
water at our house.
Yours, you got the problem too?
You'd be surprised how many places do.
Well, then that means it's all over.
That's why we're
right.
looking at it as an entire system grid issue, not an isolated circumstance.
Well, that's a very good thing. I mean, maybe perhaps we can get to the bottom of the whole thing through that.
That was our concern and why we put a hold on moving forward on that project, is when we started identifying that there were other spots in town that had the issue and DNR had a possible solution, we backed off all of a sudden to get more information from you.
Well, I think we gotta treat this as we would if your car ain't running. You start with what you think's wrong, and then you keep fixing it until you find what's fixed.